All right, welcome to another episode of Short Legs, Big Rage, and I am Angry Corgi, and next to me over here is Joey Shadows, and we have invited some people in. Noble's here, and Cino
Yo.
TV is and isn't here, but he's kinda here. And today we're going to talk Xbox. And I'm glad that we had two more people join us in for the discussion today because I am dealing with some kind of throat virus, probably a throat virus pirate. I don't know. It feels stabby. I feel like I've lost weight and I could possibly not make it till tomorrow, but I'm going to try to tough this one out for this podcast. And I hope everybody is proud of me. But to business. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
And
Thought,
Joe,
thought you needed it.
we were talking. Yeah, fuck, I do need a win today. My fantasy football team's getting raped, but other than that, Joe, tell us about the Dominican. You just got back from a week away. That is why we could not get an episode in last week. So explain to the viewers and the listeners as to why you disappointed them all.
Well, I mean, in fairness, again, I was sick for like half the time, dude. The resort was fine, but I am not a resort person, dude. Like after like the third day, I was so bored of either like waking up in the morning. It's like, what do you want to do today? Do you want to go to the beach or the pool, or the pool or the beach? Like they
Life's rough.
kind of like stuck there. Food was okay, but oh my god, dude! Like we went out there for a wedding, and at one point I didn't think I was going to make it to the wedding. Like
That's how bad it got.
everything I was ingesting, even water, was just within 5 minutes coming right back out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I did get to play and pet and play with some monkeys, which
There you
that was like
go.
the best time.
Okay,
That's pretty cool.
question.
Oh hell yeah. Yes,
Question.
sir. Yes, sir.
Did you get sick before or after playing with the monkeys?
Before, but
Okay, just making sure.
but at one point one was trying to take my glasses away and he put his hand on my eyeball and I thought I was going to be patient zero.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
it's gonna
say
be 28 weeks
you
later
were
in a
this
couple of
close to being a Netflix documentary. You should have tried harder.
Mm.
And for those of you
But
again who hear the voice of possibly Jeremy Clarkson in the back, that is Noble Studios joining
Possibly
us.
Jeremy Clarkson, you funny
Possibly
bugger.
Jeremy Clarkson, possibly Ed Sheeran. We don't know. We can't see him. Well, I can. You can't because I'm not that organized to have a quad box ready to go. So,
No, it's fine. My camera works as and when, mate.
I'm going to be honest with you, dude. When you said the name, I was like, wait a minute. That's a famous guy. Am I talking with a famous guy right now?
yeah, Corgi, your cousin. But no, but I'm glad I could get the old crew in. It's very hard to get everybody situated
Buddy
on the
together
same time.
nowadays.
But luckily, Noble works the graveyard shift in the UK, so he can join us here in the afternoon. It does horrible things to his body, but he's willing to sacrifice it. The only person who didn't sacrifice was Joe when he was sick during the Dominican trip, and all I had to do was go to the beach and rest. Fucking guy.
Yeah, the best part is all I gotta do is work for like another week and a half, and then I get another 2 weeks off. So
What? You guys do
yeah,
shutdown?
dude, we do
you're a
holiday
dirt
shutdown.
bag.
So
You're a dirt bag.
after the 24th, I don't go back till the 5th of January.
You jammy mofo.
Fuck. Right? Well, I guess someone's going to be streaming. And please check Joey Shadows out on Twitch. He is, other than when he goes to hang out on a beach. What's going on?
I have family here, and
Oh.
somebody thought I was streaming and not recording.
Oh, that's fine. I can edit things. But anyways, glad you had a safe trip. Noble safe in the UK. Kerry is getting chewed out by his son. So we may as well get going. So today's episode, we are going to be talking about Xbox. So last week we did Nintendo. What was great about Nintendo? What was not so great about Nintendo? And the franchises. So today we're going to talk about Xbox as a whole. and then we will break it down into further Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, and where it's come today. But to start us off, Joe, you probably know more. We lived through this. Quick history on Xbox.
Quick history, got it. Let's see if I can do this. I've never made notes before, um, so as we all know, like Microsoft was a computer company first, right? Like they had the market in the operating system. They, every um, computer you bought came with Microsoft operating system. Um, Windows specifically. But it wasn't until 1994 where they made like a huge leap into the PC market. Because before then, if we all remember, there was like a bunch of different. There was like the Apple II, the Commodore, the fucking everyone was making a goddamn computer system, and it was mostly for business. Just because they were so expensive to buy, that not a lot of people actually owned it in their home. I think like, some of us might have had a computer. Maybe schools had one or two that everyone kind of had to share. Um, but it wasn't until like 1994 when they made Windows 95, pretty much revolutionized computing, all because they added a start menu. Before then, you had to basically be a computer programmer in order to operate a computer because you're essentially writing code in order to either play games or use programs, right? You bought, say, a disc or I say a disc, but what I'm talking about for all the youngins
Floppies.
out there was the floppy disk, right? So you would buy a floppy disk, about yay big. I can't remember if we're doing videos or not either, but
We are.
I'm listening. Yeah. Um, but they were pretty big floppy disks. I might be exaggerating a little bit, but you would put that into your computer, and then you would basically have a piece of paper that came with that floppy disk, like a manual, and you had to MS DOS it, right? So, your C semicolon backslash run
Run dot
and you had
X.
to,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All that stuff, and you had to get to the menu, and it was like working in the matrix, and it was just all text and everything like that, hoping that you did it right for your computer to work. With the start menu, it revolutionized everything. You hit start, you put the disk in, it recognized the disk, it would run the disk, it would download the disk, and then you could just play the game, right? Or whatever program you're using, um, which made it easier for them to jump into the residential market. Um, and what they wanted to do once Windows 95 came out is they wanted to highlight video games instead of it again being just for business. They wanted to show people that you could play video games on it as well. Um, so that's what all started it. I think there was like Windows 93 and other Windows before that, but again, still you had to be a programmer to use it. Once they did that, then and they made computers a little bit more affordable. Everyone started to buy computers then because they were easier to use. They were a little bit cheaper, and they were able to like mass produce it for the residential family home market. Um, so once they did that, then they started, producing games. They started publishing their own games. Flight Simulator was a big one, and apparently, in the beginning with Flight Simulator, there was only two people working on that game and updating it and making more. And Flight Simulator, 95. Then they would come out again and again, and it was just like two people working on that game, which is a huge feat for a game like that. Um, remembers Flight Simulator. Now it's huge, dude. Now it's integrated with like Google and all this other
I was gonna
stuff.
say,
And
I remember most of them. They were awesome, to
Yeah.
be fair.
Yeah. So then after that, they started venturing into maybe thinking about making a console. And the reason why they actually started thinking about making a console is because of PlayStation. Um, PlayStation, when the initial one came out, and then after that, I think in the 2000s when the PS2 came out, it was basically like a home computer. The technology that was in there made it compete with home computers, and because it could play discs, it could also play essentially DVDs and everything after that. The PS1, I don't believe, was able to do that, but the PS2 for sure. And the PS2 scared Microsoft. They thought that if this system comes out and they made it affordable, which it was in a sense, for what it could do, that it would overtake the PC market and they wouldn't be able to recover.
Which is
So,
understandable when you think about it, though. Like when you're talking about gaming at that time, right? Nintendo and PlayStation were king supreme, uh, and that was it. And PlayStation gave you that break from Nintendo. Like it had a whole. It was less cartoony and it was more realistic. Because when it came out, I was more drawn to the PlayStation because of that, because we had crazy sports games, everything like that. But
mhm.
yeah, keep going there on Xbox there, Joe.
Oh, yeah, no, and again, I know it's an Xbox, but like the
No,
PlayStation
go ahead.
marketed itself to the more mature market, right? Nintendo had a chokehold on kids and family friendly stuff. And
Metaphoric
then
chokehold, just so we make that clear.
metaphoric
Go.
chokehold, yes,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, metaphoric chokehold on the children market and the family market. And they wanted to break into the more teen, more bad, just like Sega tried to do, right?
Yeah.
Which they did for a point. And we mentioned Nintendo and PlayStation. Everyone forgets Sega was still in the running as well with the Dreamcast and the Sega Saturn. So at the time when Microsoft was thinking of coming out with a console, Sega Saturn was right there too in the market, and people were buying them. Um, and even at one point, Microsoft was supposed to create the operating for Sega, but Sega refused. They didn't want them to create it for them. I can't remember who they ended up going with to create the operating system for the Saturn, but they refused Microsoft's offer. Um, Also, when they started thinking about developing the console, um, the in 1995, for a dev kit for the Sony PlayStation, it was $20,000 for a developer to buy in order to start producing games for the PlayStation. The Microsoft was able to make a dev kit for $500 uh, a year, and it gave you everything you needed to start creating games for them, which was pretty huge at the time too. Made things a little bit cheaper for
And
them.
just to clarify, if you all heard what I heard, he didn't say for deaf kids. It was
Oh,
dev kits.
a
So
developer
developer
kit. I
kits.
know.
No, that's
A
fine. That's
developer
why I'm here.
kit.
Don't worry. You do your thing, bro.
Yeah, so yeah, again, people thought it was weird that Microsoft, like, they had PCs. Why do you need a console? And again, it was because they felt very afraid that the PlayStation was encroaching on PC um, specification, and they were really afraid that they're, even though they had like, dude, like they had unlimited money. Like
But
Microsoft had unlimited money to
when you
pour
think
into
of
anything they
games
Pretty much
want.
had
like
a blank
eight,
check, didn't they?
well, and that's just it. And when you think about PC gaming back then, like there was stuff, right? We had Doom, we had, Age of Empires was another huge
Command and
franchise.
Conquers.
Yeah,
That
but
was a
that
big
was
one for them.
right. And back then we couldn't see anything different because I remember the first time you got an Xbox. Because I remember the first time I got me an Xbox. And we're gonna move on a little bit here. So what was the big thing that Xbox, the first console, brought to market that the other guys didn't have, Joe?
They had Okay, so the first thing that they did do is with their console, um, they added a hard drive into their console. Now, if we all remember before then, it was memory card.
Yep.
And before then, with like the
Save
16-bit
slots.
era, things were saved onto the actual cartridge itself. But what would happen with the cartridge over time is it would decay and eventually it would not save anymore. The internal battery would die and you couldn't save your games anymore, um, which was pretty huge. So they added a hard drive, which the PlayStation and PlayStation 2 did not. They still had memory cards, which was huge. And I believe it was an 8 gigabyte hard drive in the first initial Xbox.
Yeah, it wasn't
Which
much, but it
again,
was more than what we used to have. We were used to maybe 4 save slots.
games used to be in the kilobytes and the megabytes,
Yeah.
right? So, right, they were able to compress them down into, I think at that time now when the Xbox came out, they're like megabytes. So you could have a lot of shit stored on your hard drive. Um, they also had a built-in Ethernet connection, which
Was
again
the dawn
PlayStation did
of
not
what,
have.
Joe?
With the dawn
Online
of
gaming.
online gaming, yeah, they play. So the PlayStation was thinking about doing it, and they made like adapters, um, router adapters. I can't remember what the
Yeah.
actual
Yeah,
names
they
were.
did a router adapter, the little white
Yes,
rectangular thing with a little aerial on it, plugged into a
they.
USB port.
Mm-hmm,
That's why
mm-hmm.
we keep them in the background.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I know the stuff. I don't know the technical terms most of the time, but again, it's all in the old noggin. So they added that with the dawn of online, the dawn of the internet. Because again, back then the internet was around, but it was Netscape. It wasn't the internet we know of today, where it's just everyone just refers to it as Google, right? Um, but it was, Netscape, AOL, like you had to get the disc, you had a certain amount of
Yeah,
running
wow.
time on it,
Yeah, to
right?
make sure
So you
nobody
get,
picked up the phone.
yeah, dial up internet and all that
Mate,
stuff, which
this is
at that
disconnecting
time,
from
I
the
think when the
game.
Xbox was coming out, we were moving towards DSL where you didn't have
Yeah,
to worry
but,
about that anymore.
Yeah, it
Um,
was coming there because this was still within the the Napster era
mhm.
and around then. But yeah, keep going on Xbox here.
Yeah, so with that, that was a game changer, with the console market because they the thing I give Xbox, or I say Xbox, but the thing I give Microsoft credit for. Now the problem with me jumping back and forth is because they got two divisions. They got Microsoft and they got Xbox, right? That's their two different divisions. Where PlayStation is PlayStation, Nintendo is just Nintendo. They got their two different divisions. So they were always um, innovative in their time. Um, they would think of the future. Again, Bill Gates always think of the future, right? They would think of the future. So they knew online was going to be a big thing, and they really wanted to try to get ahead of everyone else while creating all this stuff. Um, I know we're going to talk about it later, but motion control and all that stuff, right? Again, they were the inventors of that stuff, in a sense. Um, so with that birth of the online gaming and trying to get into, they knew people couldn't afford PCs, so tried to make things cheaper. Um, Again, to their goal was to demolish PlayStation. They didn't want PlayStation in the market anymore. They weren't so concerned with Nintendo, because Nintendo was just always in their own little world. As we can see with everything that they're coming out with, they do not give a shit about
See,
what anybody else is doing.
and that's where I'll come in here, and I'll agree. Like, it's not so much that they weren't concerned; they just knew that they're not even in the league. Like, if there was someone
Hmm.
you can take out, it would be PlayStation, right? And like you said, we had Sega Genesis in the background, a whole bunch of other cartridge dealers, but Xbox, with the ability to online game and everything else, just in my opinion, was the real game changer of the early 2000s.
Hmm. For sure, for sure. With um with the Xbox, now their main concern was the Japanese market. because Sony had such a again, metaphorically, stranglehold on the Japanese
This one might
market
have been
and
an
the
actually realistic stranglehold, but there's no
and
kids involved
also
in this one. We can go with it.
and also the European market. I don't know if Noble could back me up on it, but from what I read and from what I've watched, like
Yeah.
they had a good hold on the European
Well,
market as well.
yeah, they had a very good grasp on it for a while, like, especially in the times of like the 360 era. Like the
Mm-hmm.
market was booming. Like I'd always say, like around the PlayStation 2 era, that's where the tides were a bit backwards and forwards, because most people, from what I remember, is obviously started off with that black cube Xbox, the one
Mm-hmm.
we all remember fondly.
This one right
And then
here.
after that is when I remember people switching over to the PlayStation 2. And then people went
Right.
back to Xbox, and then they went to the PlayStation 3. And then after that, most people either went to the PlayStation 4 and stuck with it, or they jumped over to Xbox and stuck with them. So
Yeah, because at that point it was a price thing. It's like you could
yeah,
only
literally.
afford one or the other, right?
Or the other.
Like,
You couldn't get both like you used to be able to. Like I remember back in the
mm-hmm.
day, you could have an old Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and a Nintendo Wii sat on your shelf.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And nowadays,
Yep.
it's just like, well, what one's got more games that I can play with people, or the better functionality?
That's it. That's it. So yeah, with the Xbox's so again, one of their big issues was the overseas market, we'll just say,
Yeah,
because they knew because they were like an American company that with the patriotism and all that stuff with America. I mean, everyone kind of has it, but especially America. We're an American company. We're this, we're that. So they knew that they could probably beat PlayStation and Nintendo in that market. So
oh yeah.
what they did is they focused all their marketing in the American market first. They were going to release in America, and then they were going to try to figure out how they were going to release in the other countries after, which did work out to them, like work out for them in a sense. When the
Right.
original Xbox first came out, a lot of people ended up buying one. The price was good. I'm getting a PC console. Um,
A media
I'm
center
getting
is
a
how we
P.
used to,
Yeah,
you know,
the media center's the
the
old
the
way of saying
media
it.
center. Yeah.
Yes, and it was very easy to mod. I feel
Oh
like all
yeah.
of us had a
We,
modded
we
Xbox.
I remember you had a guy that
Even
do it for
PlayStation.
$60, and that's all
Oh
we
yeah,
did.
dude. Yeah, and you could burn the games and you could load up
Mhm.
your MP3s onto them. I like on my Xbox, like is the emulator I got.
Oh
I
yeah,
feel like
total nightmare.
2000
Mm.
SNES, Nintendo, like whatever I could fit on there is on there, right? All thanks to the internal hard drive, right? It was very easy to use.
It
Now,
was a life changer.
yeah, now is it huge and is it a brick? It is. But the reason for that is because of the power it needed to put out, they
Mhm.
needed a big cooling system inside to make sure that it didn't overheat. Um,
We all remember
so,
the Red Ring of Death days.
I was just about to
oh,
say, Joe, let's talk to us about possibly. I actually think it would have been their biggest falter with that entire
Yeah.
generation,
Mhm.
was the Red Ring of Death. So, Joe, can you explain it to our viewers, please?
oh,
Sorry.
totally can. But I do want to put
Oh,
out
good.
one thing that I found very interesting with the Xbox as well.
Mm.
Xbox of Japan, they had an office in there, told all the Japanese developers and refused to make games for the initial launch, all because, and I think we all remember this, the Duke controller, that big massive
Oh
brick of a
yeah.
controller, because Japanese people like everything small and it wouldn't fit their hands. Xbox of Japan went to all the Japanese developers and said, "We will not make games for Xbox until they change our controller," which is a little fun fact, which is another reason why they didn't break into the market, because they wanted to have initially 30 to 35 launch games, and that dwindled them down to about 12 to 15 launch games when it first came out. So
That's unfortunate.
Man, the
so
dark days
yeah,
that we
so
used to live through.
Yeah, so that's why they came out with the smaller controller after that everybody liked, which was um, only released in Japan first and came to North America, I think like a year or two later or whatever it was. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I found that very interesting on the company, the one company turning its back basically on their own business.
But
So
that's how Walmart does business too. It's it is because when you look at it, and if we're tying all the consoles together, um, when Nintendo does it, we accept it. But if someone else does it, we feel,
Betrayed.
mhm.
we've been shortchanged, right? But no, that's it. But yeah, let's go back to the Red Ring of Death because, like I said, if you were in any kind, if you had the Gen One Xbox, this was worse than being grounded.
Oh
Joe,
yeah.
take us through the Red Ring of Death.
We're talking about the 360 now, right?
Yeah.
Because the original one didn't have that. The
Oh, it
original
didn't
one
have
didn't
it on
have
the
the
original. It
Bluetooth.
was only the second. Okay.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
360
it
only.
was a 360 that had that problem, and it was a very unfortunate
Mm,
oversight by the manufacturer
mm,
on the reason why it happened, and it cost Xbox or again, sorry,
mhm.
Microsoft so much
Too much
money
money.
to fix it, um, and it was just because of a soldering issue. They used the wrong. Again, I'm not a goddamn tinkerer, but they used like the wrong soldering metal or something.
Type of
Um,
solder, yeah.
yeah, on the microchip or something like that, the silicon chip. They used just the wrong one, and because it would overheat, the soldering would loosen and the connection would go away.
Oof.
And
Um,
with that, your life, your savings, and
Yeah.
everything else, because it was a real epidemic. We didn't worry about getting sick. We worried about the Red Ring of
the
Death.
red ring, dude.
Uh,
I was fortunate enough that mine never had that happen, but like everyone I know had it
So
happen to
you
them.
feel like
And
a
then
guy.
yeah, dude. And then you would go online to try to find the cheap fixes, and it was
Mhm.
wrap your 360 in a towel and leave it continuously running to overheat
in
to
a room full of rice.
Use a hairdryer on it, yeah.
Oh, fuck.
put it in
Uh,
your oven for a little bit so you heat it up so the soldering points solder back
resettles,
together.
yeah.
Like it was crazy what people would do to fix this. And Xbox did like I don't know who the CEO at the time was. I want to say it was Steve Ballmer. Dude, that motherfucker was crazy, dude. I'm pretty sure that guy was on cocaine 24/7. But
I would have been.
um you read up.
I
I'm
was.
not gonna go read
Yeah.
up on that guy. That guy
Whole
was
other
a
episode.
nutcase. Yeah, that guy was a nutcase. But when he heard about this, good on him again. Was like, I don't care what the cost is. We're fixing it. Like,
Well,
I
you'd
don't care
have
what
to,
it
right?
costs. I don't care how much money. Yeah, you have to do because our name is on the line now, right? And the 360 was a fucking awesome console, dude.
It was.
Machine,
I will die on the hill and saying it's probably in the for me top three consoles of all time.
yeah. Mm.
Like it was.
Yeah, 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 I can
mm,
agree with that, to be fair.
Okay, okay. I was like, you
You
can
guys
say
don't
no,
have to
and I
agree.
get it,
That's
but
the backbone of this
No,
show
no,
is arguing.
I'm with it, to be fair. Like, the 360, like, it brings back some very, very fond memories.
hmm
That was
hmm
just one of those consoles. It's bar the red ring, it didn't miss. You know what I
no.
mean?
And
But
again, it was easy moddable.
Mm.
Everyone modded theirs, right? It was easily moddable.
Talking about the
It was an
controllers, to be fair.
entertainment unit in one, dude.
Mm.
Like the only thing it didn't do, was it that one? No, I think the Xbox didn't play DVDs. I think the 360 played
The
DVDs.
360 did, but the original Xbox didn't, I don't think.
Didn't. You had to buy the adapter in order to
Mhm.
play it, which again is another mistake to them because the PS2 did,
Yeah, it did.
right?
It's
So
like I've always
like,
liked their backwards compatibility. PlayStation have always done as well. I
but
don't know if
mhm.
Xbox has ever really done that. I don't know.
but let's go back in time. So if I'm going to advocate for the other side of that, at the time there was probably a lot fewer people watching DVDs, and
Yeah,
that
more
might
so
have
than
just been kind
PC
of an
and everything.
oversight.
Yeah.
I
right?
think DVDs were just becoming a thing, right? Like the VHSs were still around, so um, I can see the reason why they didn't do it because the cost of the system would have went up, right?
Significantly.
If they would have added the DVD drive into it.
Like DVD
So,
players used to be, 100 to $200. Like I remember when I was at Future Shop, and
Yeah.
that's aging myself right there. When I used to sell them at
rest
Future
in
Shop.
peace.
But that's it. Like you couldn't find one for under $100, and then Blu-ray came out, and then the compact disc, other than the tape cassette, was probably the biggest inefficiency in delivering technology and media. Those things are still filling up like landfills. My mom's basement is still full of fucking tape cassettes, but the DVD player did change the way that we processed media. And like you said, Microsoft was already doing that. They already had the compact disc game down after floppies, and it was easy
Hmm.
transition. But the thing that I do remember, and Joe, happily let me know when I'm wrong here.
Hmm.
Um, the one thing that I didn't like with PlayStation is that you needed multiple discs. And I found that to be a lot less frequent with Xbox.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think back on the Xbox and trying to think if there was any game that was two like more than one disc. And
Wasn't
I
there was, but there were some that were special edition. Like you always had, like it was the odd where you'd get the flip in there, but it
Mhm.
wasn't like we're talking PlayStation. I would probably say 50% had more than one disc for the
Mhm.
games, and then yeah, with Xbox, less than 1%. I would say when you
Yeah,
when you think of the library or the
yeah,
amount of
you're
library.
right. Because that's when full motion video was becoming a thing, and that's the reason why PlayStation games had like multiple discs. Like Final Fantasy VII could have been one or two discs, but because of all the cutscenes and the full motion videos that they added into it, it needed to be four disc or what? Yeah, four disc for that, right? Um, I don't know what formatting Xbox was using. Maybe it was a compression thing. Maybe they had better compression algorithms than PlayStation did in order to compact. Because the Xbox games also, I believe, had cutscenes and stuff in them. Um,
I think there's some behind the scenes zip files that, like you said, Microsoft had already developed long before, to bring media through the compact disc from the floppy, whereas Sony was more in the delivery systems, right? Like Sony isn't
yeah,
out there breaking code, they're out there selling discs, and that's it.
yeah, and I feel like it was a hard drive that the reason why it was actually probably the hard drive because the disc would download onto the hard drive and run from there instead of like running from the disk itself, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
Um, so I think again that's why PlayStation had multiple discs, whereas Xbox didn't need to, right? Because they had that internal hard drive in there. Um, so yeah, again, Xbox was good. Um, they didn't make a splash like they wanted to in Europe and in obviously Japan. Europe, I think it was a price issue.
Yeah.
Um, it was very expensive compared to the PS2
Well,
in order to
but
get an
you're
Xbox.
you're you're crossing the ocean, right? And I think that's where a lot of the trade embargoes ended up coming, because there
Hmm.
is a lot more, right? Probably the only thing that we
Hmm.
used to get from that side of the world, or the biggest thing, would have been chips, right? Like Nvidia is still
Hmm.
over there, like, and that's it. Like one can't operate without the other, right? So Sony had everything on one side of the water, whereas we had to get from the other side, build,
Hmm.
and then export
And then
again,
ship it back. Yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
I
That
always found Nintendo to be a pricey system. But I bet,
Still.
but that's it. But that's on our side. But if we bought it in the end, it's probably a little more reasonable. But that's it. But it's availability. It's like domestic and an import car, right? If I lived in China, I'm not going to go buy a Chevy Cruze, right? It's just. But here, if you want a fully loaded Civic, it's still relatively high. Like I guess they start making a lot of this stuff here in Canada still, but yeah, but that's it. But let's just finish off here. Let's go back to the original Xbox, and now let's talk about the franchises, because when you think
Or
of
lack thereof.
and that's what I'm trying to allude to, is when you thought of PlayStation and Nintendo, you had your franchises. We talked about this last week with Nintendo, right? Super Mario, doesn't matter who you are, it is the YouTube of video games. Your grandma's going to know what it is. But
Yeah,
but the thing with Xbox, and I don't think, and this will probably be a hot take, I don't think Xbox would have survived without Halo. I
Nope.
think Halo was
I agree.
the only thing in the first gen. I want to be clear about first gen, that really set it apart. Because if we take ourselves back, like Joe, me, you, your brother, all our degenerate friends, we played like like Halo was the thing. It was the only shooter other than GoldenEye that was
Oh god.
right, and that was it, because GoldenEye pulled the plug too quick. But based
Oh, far too
on,
quick.
it wasn't great, wasn't bad, and Joe really looks like he's got something to say. His cheeks are getting all shiny, and he's holding this one in. So Joe, please release. What do you got to say?
No, you're right. There was GoldenEye, which, go back to it now, it is like, I'm sorry to say, it is not good.
It
It is
wasn't
not
good
good.
then, but it
Like,
was
go
all we
back to
had.
it now.
Yeah, good then. Shit, bad now.
Yeah.
Like, the graphics aren't good. Dude, that 64 controller, I don't know what the fuck they were
I just
thinking,
remember
but
running around as Objob and throwing my hat at everybody. Like,
we
I
all
ain't
had
gonna
the.
lie.
Yeah, my friends had a rule: no fucking odd job, bro. Fuck that shit. No fucking odd. No one better pick fucking odd job. Oh, what a bullshit character. Um, but yeah, so you had GoldenEye on the console. Now, I'll give Xbox credit. Before then, people have tried first-person shooters on consoles. They just didn't work. They weren't good. The control schemes weren't good. They weren't made for it. Most of them were like ports, right? You took Doom. Doom's played on everything, right? But you played Doom 64, fucking sucks, right? Play Doom on Super Nintendo, fucking sucks. You got like a D-pad and you're trying to
Yeah.
play like this 3D game, all right, moving around on it. With Xbox, because they were um, a PC. Microsoft was PC first. What they did is they bought out 343. I don't think it was Bungie. Bungie is a spin-off of 343. It was 343 employees that made Bungie, and that's who made Destiny. But um, they bought that company and made them a first-party studio, and people thought they were fucking nuts. They're like, "Why are you buying a PC game company to make console games?" And because Halo was originally going to be a PC game, and they made it into a console game, and it demolished, bro. That game, Master Chief is up there with, like, when you think Xbox, you think Master Chief.
Right. And
Um,
we
What do you
talked
think
about
of
it
it
with
in
Super
pop
Smash
culture as
Brothers.
well?
If there was a Super Smash Brothers for Xbox, Master Chief would be the face of the industry.
fucking the face, dude. Because try to think of, because we're talking about now franchises stuff. Try to think of any other Xbox franchise other than Forza, because Forza was not an original franchise,
No, true.
right?
On one,
Um,
Fable was the only other one. And that brings me to my
Yeah.
first Xbox, because I bought the Xbox Crystal specifically for that. And I think that was one thing. And I know other consoles did that, but with Xbox, you were always guaranteed a banger of a game and the absolute worst game they couldn't give you for free, and you'd still want to play it because I got Fable and Flight Simulator. And I don't know any flight simulator game where you can actually land the plane. Never. Show me. Show me. If you've got it out there, info at angrycorgicustoms.ca, send it. But that's the thing.
Show
But
me a video of you landing this
no, I
goddamn
want to
plane,
see. I will
because
fly to you to watch you land it because there's too much AI. I've got to see person. I got to be able to punch them in the face if they're lying. But again,
but yeah,
metaphorical punches to the face. But no, but that's it. But
but
the
yeah,
original Xbox, I think that its technology, well, I don't think I can prove the technology surpassed the content.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And now that we're talking about franchises, because we're going to get into possibly the some of the other biggest franchises, and we talked about possibly one of the greatest consoles ever built, other than the Red Ring of Death. Let's talk about the 360. Let's talk about Generation Two um, franchises because we
mm-hmm.
talked about it being a huge lack for one, but one's technology was up. Now we've talked about Xbox Two technology lacking with, one of the smallest, most expensive oversights I would probably say their company's history. Um, but Joe, talk to me about Xbox 360
Yeah,
because
like
you'd be the
the
advocate.
360. Yeah, like the 360, like the the 360, I think revolutionized and gave a jump start to console gaming again, all because they were focused on online again. Their thing was online, online, online. We need to make online work, right? So with the 360 came Xbox Live. And Xbox Live was huge, dude. So
Revelation.
yeah, everyone had it,
Xbox
right?
Live cards were currency. Like it
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
was like you would barter with that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And I think that was the best thing that came out. I shouldn't have picked up the drink in the middle of a conversation, but I think um, that was the best thing that came out of the 360 era. Just as a advancement in technology alone. Now, here's the thing: PlayStation also had online, and it was free.
But
Xbox, you had to pay a subscription for it, right? So you had all the PlayStation people be like, "Why would I buy an Xbox now if I get online for free?" It's because it was better. Because PlayStation didn't charge you for the service, the online was shit compared to the Xbox 360.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah, it was not stable. It sucked. The UI interface sucked. Everything just fucking blew about it. Now, you paid for the Xbox service, you got stability, you got the Xbox Live dash. I think it was like not a launcher, a dashboard. Um, and that was the start of indie games.
Mm-hmm.
Um, every independent studio that wasn't a huge name, that wasn't Square, that wasn't Rare. We didn't even, and I know we surpassed it, but I also want to say before the Xbox 360 era, Microsoft bought Rare, who had a huge partnership with Nintendo. So that was one of the ways of trying to cut the legs under for Nintendo, was to buy one of their biggest, like, I'm going to say second party publisher, because they weren't owned by Nintendo, but they worked with Nintendo constantly. Only it was only Nintendo they worked with, and they bought Rare, which was huge for them. Um, but it's sorry, I digress. With Xbox like Live, you had your party chat, which was stellar. Every Xbox 360 came with we all had that little microphone
Mm-hmm.
connected
I
to one
remember it
head,
well.
right? And it worked fine enough. I mean, you probably go back to it now, it was probably very poor quality, but for the time, it was way better than anything else. Um, like I said, you had your matchmaking. You had This is when Halo really started to shine, right? I believe with Halo 2 came out at this point with the 360 because Halo 1
Yeah.
was only on the
Yeah.
Xbox.
Yeah.
And then Halo 2 and 3 came out on the 360.
Yep.
But that online deathmatch, the stuff people played on PC with Quake and
Mhm.
Yeah.
Counter Strike and Noble, you might know more about PC games than I do because I was a console person.
I played loads of PC games before
Yeah,
I hit consoles.
yeah. So whatever online game you could play with PC, now you could play on your console.
Hmm.
Now you didn't need a very expensive PC to play online with friends and play all these awesome games that you've been hearing about people playing, right? Um, so that's when again online came out. Call of Duty, I believe, initially came out on the 360. Um, we used to have a place here in Winnipeg called Spar Games, which had just individual seats set up, individual screens. You'd go up to the counter, you'd pay an hourly rate, you could tell them what game you wanted to play, and everyone played Call of Duty. And everyone LAN party Call of Duty. Um, with the 360, now you didn't have to LAN party, right? With the original Xbox, you had to carry that bitch around to your friend's house if you wanted to LAN party, play some Halo or whatever. Now you didn't need to do that anymore with the 360. Now you can sit in your home, you pay that whatever it was, $50 a year or whatever the fuck the subscription fee was. I can't even remember. Um, and now you could play with your friends online. Didn't need to leave your house, which is good or bad in a sense. Um,
That's
but
both.
now yeah, and now and you could play with everyone all around the world, which was the insane thing. You're playing all these games, and you're playing with some dude in Japan. Right? I'm gonna say Japan, probably not Japan, more Europe, because again,
Yeah, there's
the
quite a few. You do
what's
get quite
that?
a few. You do get quite a few, to be
Okay,
fair.
yeah, yeah. Because I'm just trying to remember my StarCraft days, and it was Korea.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I would get my ass kicked constantly.
Mm, yeah.
Right?
You don't have to remind me. You really don't.
Well,
Oh.
and
As
that's
soon as
just
you
it,
saw that
boys.
different language pop up, you're like, nope, I surrender, I give up. You're
Yep.
gonna beat me in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm done.
Um,
Good night.
They build them soft here in Canada, but no, but that was it. Xbox brought together the world.
mhm,
The world knew about Nintendo, but it was very difficult to play. Like even Game Boy, we had to hook up a connection cable. But with
Oh,
Xbox, you got your card. Every game had that little like $20 Xbox Live credit,
mhm,
and you went
mhm,
from there. And the other thing that was, I think, probably one of the biggest, and like you said it, Joe, this has got to be one of the top three iconic consoles because this is where Xbox stepped up its exclusivity game, and it came out with franchises like Gears of War and Forza. Now, if you were a PlayStation nerd, you had Gran Turismo. This
yep,
was by far the more technical racing game, but I think other than Need for Speed, Forza is probably one of the most memorable racing franchises ever. Um, and Gears of War is good for a first person, but like you said, Call of Duty is really where this got all shaped. The online
mhm.
presence, and you look at what Call of Duty is now. Like you can't log on to Twitch without half of your viewers playing Call of Duty, as though we are actually at war. This could be a really bad simulation of Ender's Game. So, but and if you haven't seen the ending of Ender's Game, watch Ender's Game. But that's it. But I think the 360, and you had said last week that or 2 weeks ago, that your favorite console, hands down, or one of your favorites is GameCube. So let's
Mhm.
put those together, and we're going to keep building every week. So if we had to put the GameCube versus Xbox 360, Joe, what are you going
Mhm.
with?
Mm, I hate to say it because I'm a Nintendo person at heart, but it's a 360. It has to be. Like the the online GameCube had it online, but again, not a lot of games.
Nobody did it like
Fantasy Star
Xbox.
Online, yeah, Fantasy Star Online was like the only game I played online with the GameCube, but the Xbox, I have to go with the 360. Like, from again the online perspective, the graphical enhancement of the games that you're playing, um, the franchises at the time, your Halos, your Gears of War, your God, it was just in my Fable, dude. Where
Yeah.
the fuck is Fable? Xbox. I saw a announcement trailer like 5 years ago. Where is this new Fable you've
Mm.
been fucking teasing the tip of my dick with? You know
Or
what I
this,
mean?
I'm probably going to put
Like,
you above me when it comes to TikTok. Yeah, this.
I just remember playing Oblivion on the Xbox. That was one of the first
ooh,
games I
See,
remember.
but that was it. But
bro, I forgot
Xbox
about Oblivion.
opened that door, and Joe had said it earlier to every developer. It is game on now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one thing, because with Xbox, and I remember when we used to go to Blockbuster, we didn't know half of the games that were coming out. It's not like they market them the way they do today. Like, the probably, other than Resident Evil 4 and Final Fantasy, that's all I can kind of remember other than Xbox games, because Halo came in screaming. Fable
Mm-hmm.
was there, but it was the first where you got to be the bad guy. And Star Wars
Oh, that
Battlefront.
morality system.
And I
Yeah.
love
Oh,
it because I was
Battlefront.
always the
Oh.
devil. And I got
Mm.
so many good swords. But that was it. It didn't matter how many chickens I killed. And I could still do it today. But I think that set the framework for a lot of games, right? And it told developers that we want to control our fates. If I want to kill people, I'm allowed to in the game, so let me. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, but again, Call of Duty, I think it's if you told me that Call of Duty today was possible back then, no. No, I would think that you were crazy. I don't think, like, I remember playing, and again we're going back and forth, PlayStation to Xbox, but
You can't you
Medal
can't
of
have one
Honor.
with the other,
That's
right?
it, right?
You know what I mean? Like,
Without Coke, there is no Pepsi. Without Medal of Honor, there is no Call of Duty. Without Gears of War, Resident Evil. Eh? Mm, no.
mm,
If I had
I'm trying
to,
to think of a comparison between the two. Dude, I don't even know. Like again, Gears of War was on a whole nother level,
Another
right?
like horde mode in that as well.
Yeah, like they Gears of War created the duck and cover system
Mm-hmm.
that every game uses now today, right? Like,
That
the
was one of Last of
the
Us main features. That was.
was that
It was one of the Last of Us main features, wasn't
yeah.
it? The duck
dude?
and cover.
The point in a direction, hold the button, and you
Mm.
automatically run there and like take like
Mm.
we
Or
wouldn't have
Division
that
2.
system in games
Yeah, yeah.
today if it wasn't for Gears of War,
Mm.
right? We also, for a marketing standpoint, we wouldn't have the crazy renditions of old songs that you've
Yeah.
never heard of before, unless it was for that Gears of War marketing campaign.
Mm.
If we
Mm.
all remember that commercial,
Wild World,
Mad
yeah.
World,
Da, 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 yeah.
dude. How many other marketing campaigns of games have used that style of marketing, right? So, like, we wouldn't have a lot of this stuff if it was. I know, like, a lot of people knock it, Microsoft and Xbox and whatever for what it is today, and I know we're gonna get there eventually because that trajectory, I don't know what they did, but if it wasn't for Microsoft and Xbox, a lot of the things in gaming today, a lot of the technology, a lot of the bring together the world with gaming wouldn't be around if it wasn't for them. And it all started with the 360, right? Indie developers wouldn't have gotten their chance if it wasn't for Xbox Live 360.
Well,
We never heard of half these companies until that.
right, and you had your Bethesdas, but like Activision and stuff like that really flourished, in my opinion, with Xbox. Like, and like
Sports
you said,
games,
when
EA.
And that was it because, and I don't know how it was for you, Noble, but in with me and Joey growing up, PlayStation
Mm-hmm.
was for sports games and Final Fantasy. Xbox was for everything else. And if you wanted to play Mario, you hit up, well, I guess it would have been
Yeah,
GameCube at the time or
pretty,
N64.
yeah, pretty much the same. Pretty
And
much.
that's it because,
PlayStation was always your more. Well, I feel
PlayStation
like
was a. Oh, sorry.
PlayStation was your more racing. I feel like we did a
yeah,
lot of racing on the PlayStation as well.
but it
There
had
was a
that
lot
dual
of
shock
driving games. Yeah.
controller. That's why I wanted to feel everything.
Yeah.
And that's it. But then when you talk about Xbox, like I still think Xbox is one of the most comfortable controllers. Like my hand is just formed to it. Joe's gonna hate me. Yeah, no, that's fine. Perfect. It's
No, I'm
perfect
gonna
for
agree
small
with you,
hands.
dude.
Okay.
And the offsetting analog,
Yeah.
genius. Because I love my PlayStation, but my hands get so cramped after a while with the parallel analog sticks. The drift. I've already had to replace two of my PS5 controllers because of how I got to hold the controller and use the analog and everything. I get stick drift like crazy. But the Xbox, man, that game changer of the offsetting analog is fucking comfy, dude. That's why again, when you asked me about like which system would I choose, the 360 just changed the game when it came to controllers, when it came to graphics, when it came to online, when it came, dude, the goddamn connects,
Yeah.
another game changer, dude.
Still better than the PS4 camera.
Another game changer again. They molded the way for um motion sensing and stuff. Like again, the Wii 360 came out before then, but like the Wii, tried it. PlayStation tried it. They couldn't perfect it. I love the Kinects, bro. For what it did.
I never tried. I never tried the Connects. I got out of
N-
Xbox just as they came out.
Oh, dude, it
Mm,
it was fun, and you could also, let's go with the online thing again.
yeah.
I video chatted with friends with that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just in my living room, I would call my buddy up, do a party chat, and we would just be chilling in our living room doing whatever around the house while we chit chatted and
Well,
video calls with that thing.
and I think that was a big feature with Xbox too, because if you didn't have that PC, like you said earlier, you could get your entertainment done with Xbox. Like it wasn't that hard. It was easy to mod, like you said. We had um I guess dashboard like you had said, but you could go back into the OS, change your background. But that's the one thing I found because even with up to PS4, I haven't tried PS5, but even with PS4, I find I don't like the UI. Like everything's
No,
there,
it's
but
not.
it's not the way that I think. Xbox has always been the way that I think. Even when I'm shooting, if and here's the test because you guys are both pretty big gamers. If I
Yeah.
blindfolded you, I gave you whatever controller to play any game on, would what controller would you use? Would you use a PlayStation, a Nintendo, mouse and key, or Xbox controller? Right? It
Hmm.
just to figure it out because when it comes to that, Xbox just feels natural. If I'm gonna jump, it always feels natural. Shoot, right? With PlayStation, I've always got to go back. I've got to look at what's what or change the hotkeys. But that's one thing I've always found with Xbox is, maybe it's has something to do with left lobed and right lobed people. Who fucking knows? But there is something about the Xbox controller. Yeah, that like they nailed it. They didn't have to change much,
Hmm.
right?
It's
See that?
fucking comfy, dude. It's
Mm,
it, it
see that?
it's comfy.
Yeah, go
Because one of the
on.
worst
Um,
that I remember is N64. I used to despise that controller, but this is the controller. Like if you buy a knockoff controller, it is this style. Like it, but the other thing with Xbox that I found versus ooh, ooh, I went blurry. Hang on here. But
uh,
anyways, not a big deal. But yeah, it's Xbox has just always had that comfort level. And like you said, I think that the parent company of Microsoft being attached to them had a lot more budget to do things. Like if Nintendo wasn't successful at games, it wouldn't be a computer company still, right? Like on the side, right? Like Kodak is always going to be a camera company. Nintendo will always
Mm-hmm.
be known as video games, and I think Xbox had to fight for that right. But I think after 360, they earned the fact that they were one of the consoles of choice. And if everybody here watches South Park, but if anybody listening or watching hasn't seen the episode of the Red Wedding where they have to choose which console that the team, because that was it. That's how it was as a kid. What is everyone else
Yeah.
getting so we could play together? But Xbox has taken that out, and we're going to move a little further down history because, again, one of the big knocks against Xbox is there was no real franchise exclusivities. But that being said, you could access a huge catalog, right? The cross-platform playing, thank you Xbox. It's just always been there. But I think the ease, the just the scalability of the library that Xbox has is going to be superior to anybody else. Like even if they're shitty games, there's going to be 500 to 1 games Xbox versus Nintendo. And now we have gone into a subscription based, like we've literally pulled off disc, we've pulled off, and that's it. Like I don't even need memory. I pay $25 a month to Xbox so that I can play via cloud and I can access all these games. Because Joe, as someone who used to play a lot of games, I used to sit there and think about like, this is 70, 70, 70. Like you have all these discs and you guys used to have a collection. Luckily, it was you and your brother. So, you had it stacked up. But I'm still ripping fucking systems from you. Like I got your PS4 here, but that's it. But
You got my
you get
PS2 by chance? Don't mean to
probably.
sidetrack.
No, I think you
Okay.
did. Because that was another
I
iconic
put,
console, right? I would put the PS2 as almost my favorite PlayStation console for what it was at the time. PlayStation 4
Mhm.
later, but 3 did nothing for me. 1 was all right. But like I said, Xbox really changed the game for us growing up. And like I said, with Bethesda, Activision, it's a game changer. But the one thing that I respect Xbox for, and I guess versus the other consoles, and we touched base with this with Nintendo's exclusivity, everything you need a Nintendo adapter, you need this. Xbox was more for the people. I felt.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was gamer friendly. Your friends could come over with their own controllers. Everything was cool. But everything of functionality, um, and just the relationship with the gamer. I never had the relationship with. Well, I'm learning it now with PC, but I never had that relationship back then with Nintendo, PlayStation, or computer. It was always, hey man, like Xbox Crystal or Xbox One was my life. And then you guys eventually gave me your Xbox 360, and that became my life because we had Grand Theft Auto, right? There was games that you had to play. And
Mhm.
when I
Mhm.
started streaming again, that was the thing. Like I went back, I played all the Halos again. I played the Gears. Why? Because those were the games. If it wasn't Super Mario and it wasn't a sports game like Madden, Madden I religiously played on PlayStation. Same with NHL. Same with everything else. But my mind got lost in Xbox. The adventure games were out of this world. Like, and you didn't have to Final Fantasy 7 it with 3 discs, right? You maybe at most had 2, but I don't know.
And
Xbox 360 could possibly be one of the greatest consoles to ever come out.
and don't forget, they're the first ones to add like achievement, gamer, trophy
Yeah,
points, whatever you want to call it, which made you want to play the game, which made you want to um 100% a game because now you knew what you were searching for. You could go through your list and see the achievements, and it tells you what you need to do it. And it just made you play that game over and over and over again. Like it was a very smart plan by them,
which
right?
is
You weren't just going through the story, finishing the game, tossing it on your shelf, buying another one. Like you were getting your, and it was a competition in a sense, right? Between you and your friends. You could see what their gamer points were compared to you, and you could be like, well, fuck this guy. I want to be better than him. So then you would you would go back to that game and you're like, well, no, he got all the trophies or all the
Yeah, you
achievements. I'm
do all
gonna
the
get that shit
achievement
too.
hunting and go, oh, I've got the higher gamer score, you dicker.
Well, I got a
Yeah, yeah.
girlfriend.
Yeah.
But
So you say you're better at this game. Did you get all the achievement
yeah,
points? No. Well, I
I,
guess
I
I'm
I
better at the
guess
game
you're
than
not a
you.
99 percenter. But
Dude, you're the first ones.
but that's it. But it changed the face of gaming. Like Nintendo had its own style, its own vibe. To this day, Nintendo has its own vibe. But I think pound for pound, Xbox, like I said, I can't think of because I still use it today, and we'll get into that. But
Yeah.
as of right now, let's finish off with franchises. So throughout the entire Xbox franchise, Joe, what is one franchise that deserves a promotion, and what is one franchise that's overrated?
One franchise that's
Overrated.
overrated. Okay, again, it's really tough because there's not a lot of quote unquote franchises. They've tried to do their own thing, um, but okay, I'm gonna go back. Fable needs another goddamn game. They
Promotion.
need to go back to Fable. They need to promote. They need to pump their money. People are waiting for it. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know who their marketer is, who their focus group person is, what I think what has happened is since their acquisition of Bethesda, Blizzard, Activision, they think they don't need to try anymore. I think they think
They're the hot
because
girl at the party.
they got Call of Duty and they don't need anything else. Do you know what I mean? Like they have all the Fallouts. They have
Yeah, I
again
was just about
the
to say, was Fallout originally an Xbox exclusive?
yes. They have they have their yeah, their Fallouts. Their
Elder
it's Elder
Scrolls?
Scroll. I always call it Skyrim, but Skyrim is like
Yeah.
the
Oh,
Yeah,
they
the
yeah,
have
the
Elder
their
Scrolls.
series,
Yep.
yeah.
they have that, and
Cyberpunk
now they
is
think
another
they don't need to
series.
do anything else, right? Like I don't
Mm,
know I don't know what they're thinking, but Fable needs to come up.
mm,
They had a really interesting morality system. They had the way that the world interacts with you, the decisions that you make. I still remember, I think it was Fable 3,
yeah,
where,
Fable 3 is the one I remember.
yeah, so I think it's like, whatever, spoiler alert, but it's like a 20-year-old game or whatever it is at this point. Um, but at the end, you had the decision to bring back three different people, but you can only bring back one, and one of them was a dog, your
Mm.
pet dog, right? And one of them was something else. Dude, that decision broke me. And depending on who you
Fuck that game.
decided is how the end game is how the end game and everything else in the world would be once you went back to it. Um, and like it was such a great game, such a great idea, to the point where you owned real estate, you made money off real estate. It counted how many condoms you used because you could like marry and have wives and like you had sex with the intricacies of this goddamn game
It was
for
very
its
good.
time.
Like that
Y-
for their time, yeah.
for the time. Now think now what they could do with it with everything else you've seen
Mm,
in other games.
mm.
I don't know what they're waiting for. I really don't. I don't know who's
They
running the
all I
show
say is
there.
they better be cooking. They better be cooking.
They fucking better
But
be
this could
cooking.
be like a
And
Witcher
like,
situation, right? Like,
Yeah.
how could you ever stop developing it? It's a hole within a hole. Like, you know what I mean? You're constantly trying to make
GTA 6.
right. That's it. It's Inception. You can't like every day there's a new technology or a new because and we talked about it with and I know
New way
you
to
know
simulate water. New way to simulate this.
yeah, because when you look at, Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, right?
Mhm.
That now we're starting to shift how even Legend of Zelda is performing based on games like this. Because
mhm,
I like The Witcher, right the fuck up there for me. Witcher 3 was the game that got me back into gaming. It was,
Mm.
fantastic.
but it's the same thing. But that's what I like. I like to live, through a guy that can ride a horse. I don't know why. It's just for whatever reason. Like
Hmm.
I go out in the
Dude,
world trying to be Geralt of Riviera every fucking day. but some days I come back as Luigi. But
but
but but
like with the franchise, dude, they have Rare. Rare is one of their first party developers now. Rare created one of the most like some of the most iconic games ever. Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Country, Banjo Kazooie, Perfect Dark. Perfect Dark is a way better game than GoldenEye ever was.
I
Like they
forgot
have
about
all
that.
these things that they're sitting on that they are not making, and it makes no goddamn sense.
Like at
Like
least we got Hollow
bring
Knight. So, but the
oh yeah, yeah, you know, 6 years later, Silk Song, is that the one? I have
yeah,
not played those games, but
neither
I
have
hear
I.
they're really good. Um, but like they're sitting like Xbox, Microsoft ac- acquisition, all these companies, and then they do nothing with them. Like I don't understand what their model is. I don't understand if they're just trying to gobble up all the game because we're, we're gonna get back to it and it's probably going to be the end. I think I know what their business model is going to be and what they're trying to do. Um, and there's a certain other company out there that is doing the same thing that just acquired one of the major fucking movie studios.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I followed Phil
But
quite
not
quickly, and
only
I was
that,
like,
you can now play
"Damn!"
Red Dead Redemption on it.
Dude, Red Dead, wow,
Still
that
haven't
game,
played it,
fuck,
but that is
fucking
going to be
play it,
my.
bro.
I know. But anyways, as soon as Steam puts it for free, I'll fucking do it. But that's it. But Xbox,
uh,
I think we can all say has its place in the fact that it changed history. It changed the
it did.
way that we take in games. It changes the way that you play online with other people. Um, yeah, like the
If it wasn't
console,
for them, we wouldn't have online. I full heartedly agree. We might have had online, but it would have came further along.
and it would
They
have been
pushed it.
strictly your World of Warcrafts and the giant MMOs that you could play PC.
Hmm.
But let's go down here because this was a great episode. But let me ask a couple questions here to the both of
Sure.
you. Actually, let's go to Noble for this one. Noble, do you think
Okay.
that Halo has fallen off?
Compared to their like, don't get me wrong, their latest release, like, to play it, I enjoyed it, but I played probably about 10 matches and went, "Yeah, I'm alright now." Never touched it again. But even with their Halo Wars, their go at trying to do strategy. Yeah, alright. Was it Command and Conquer? Was it Age of Empires? No. So, yeah.
So yeah,
That's my yeah.
I
Yeah.
I would agree with you as well. I think the last relevant Halo was Halo 3, and that one was barely relevant itself. Halo 2, king for me. No questions asked. Joe, your opinion?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm honestly with Noble.
Yeah, I saw
I
it like crease that one. I was like,
I
yeah, yeah, this man
yeah.
knows.
I logged on. Halo Infinite is the last one, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
logged on to play with some buddies, and they were telling me
Disappointing.
how awesome this game is, and I'm going to love it. It's going to bring me back into like playing online. I lasted about 5 minutes into the first match where I was like, "Yeah, guys, after this match is done, I'm fucking done. I already see what this game is like. Jump shoot, jump shoot, jump shoot, jump shoot, jump
Mm,
shoot."
mm, mm, mm.
It didn't bring anything new to the table. Is the problem? It it was the same Halo back then, but people figured out how to cheese it. Back in the 360 era and all that, people just played it. Like it was the thing I liked about Halo was that in Call of Duty, you could upgrade your guns, you could add new attachments, you could do this, you could do that, you could whatever, make your gun better, blah blah blah. In Halo, it was just if you had a fucking stinger, it was a stinger. If you had an assault rifle, it was an
There
assault
was no
rifle. If you had this, it
loadouts.
was
Yeah.
this. There's no
Yeah,
loadouts. It was just
that's
skill
what you get.
versus skill. But then
Mm.
people figured out how to cheese the game, and that's what Halo Infinite is on online. Is people figured out how to cheese a game, and it's not fun. It's not. To me, like my opinion, not fun anymore. They need to reinvent it somehow without making it an entirely different game,
And I
if
think
that makes sense.
it does. And I think if, because we saw with Gears of War 5, like you got to change it. Like they turned Xbox into another game. Or sorry, Halo into another game, right? Like, and that was it. Like if it was still, that 8-hour campaign that I could bust through with a buddy, like I would probably pay
Yeah.
the new Halo, but it has to go back
Hmm.
to the basics. And I think and I agree with you guys. I think Halo Infinite completely missed the mark. Yes, it was an idea. Yes, it was hit or miss, but I think that Halo was a genuinely good alien shooter. And now
Hmm.
Oh,
it's something else. But,
Hmm.
you know, I but again, trying to can't come up because even 3, like I played Halo 3 and it was a quick story, but it was a blah story. Like 1 and 2, you were grinding, you needed to know, but 3 I felt was forced, and I felt that Infinite was definitely we could have lived without. But
mm.
my personal opinions. All right, next question, Joe. And this is
Hmm.
one that really separates Xbox for me than everybody else. Do you feel that Game Pass is bad for gaming?
Ooh,
That's a heavy one. That is.
it is because, man, that's so tough. Because on one hand, I'm not spending now. I don't know what the prices are in Europe, but for a new game nowadays,
60,
P
70, 60, 70 quid.
We're about
okay,
twice as
For
high
so
as
your
them.
guys, yeah.
in here in Canada, for PS5, a new game is 89.99 Canadian,
So about
which after
35 quid.
taxes and everything, over $100 for a new game. That's crazy. Fucking nuts. Now I get it. You go back and look at Toys R Us. Go on who's ever listening to this.
Oh,
Go on
Toys R Us.
Google right now and look at Toys R Us video game prices in the 90s. Yes, some games were expensive. We're looking at the $80 mark, maybe $90 mark, but some games, the budget games, were cheaper, right? Now it seems
Mhm.
like everyone is entitled, and I'm whether I have a good game or not, if motherfucking Halo is selling for $80, I'm gonna sell my game for fucking $80 because that is the
It's
new
price
price of
fixing.
gaming,
Yeah.
right? Right, right. Now, kudos to I think I want to say Claire Obscure for making their game cheaper. Now I played on Game Pass. Let's go to that question. I played on Game Pass, so technically I got it for free with a subscription, but their price was cheaper. So I think, man, I think it is the way. I think it's the way of the future. I do. The problem with a subscription service is you are renting the product. You do not own it. So at any point they could take that shit away and it's gone. With a physical copy, which is why if I really want the game, I buy the physical copy
Mhm.
because in 5 years from now, when I feel like playing that game, I could put it in my system and I could play that game.
That's fair.
So I don't have a real answer. I do like the model. I really do because I'm paying a monthly fee. I just dropped my fucking thing down just the day before recording because I realized my last fucking payment was like $40 because they upgraded
Oh, to
Ah,
or
Ultimate?
they upped the charge for Ultimate, and I don't have a console. I don't have the newest console. So why am I paying $40 to play console games when I don't have it? Um, I think it can be a good thing. I think the way that everyone going about it is fucking wrong. I think corpos need to shove all this like platinum service, this service, that service up their ass I think there should just be a one fee for
All or
everything,
nothing. Yep.
right? I think like, oh, fucking, let's go to fucking Netflix. Yeah, you know what? You could buy this service fee, but you're gonna get ads, or you could buy this fee for not. Everyone's doing it, dude. Fucking Twitch.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, we could give it to you for free, but you're gonna watch goddamn ads. Or you could pay us $20 a month, and you're never gonna have to worry about ads again,
Yep.
right?
And instead
There
of
is a way for
giving,
them to.
go ahead.
Oh, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, yeah, and the streamer now, instead of making their $4 a sub, is making 35 cents. So, again,
Yeah,
why I'm
fuck
recording and
you,
posting to
Twitch.
YouTube. But yeah, but no, but that.
um,
Go ahead.
I think there is a good way of going about it that'll make everyone happy, but I don't think they're going to do
That's fair.
it.
I
So I love the subscription model. I hate the way it's going.
see. I would argue different because as someone who, and this is where you and I differ. You like to have the physical copy. I don't. I would prefer to have it available to me on computer, but like you said, as a subscription, even if I download it and it goes off, I'm sure that I lose all my shit, the cloud savings all gone, but I don't feel as invested. And for someone like me who plays games that seemingly have no end, and I just eventually just say, hey, the $20 a month isn't bad for me. But for someone like you who is a gamer collector who likes to have the physicals, I can see. So now we're gonna throw this to Noble to see who's his better friend. Noble, do you feel that Game Pass is bad for gaming?
See, when you ask me a question like that, I look at what the film industry's gone like, because that's where I come from, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, as growing up, I remember the big, blockbuster, the favorite names there. I remember what an event it was. Should we go rent a couple films for the weekend? That sort of thing. You know what I mean? And obviously, film industry, huge. Obviously, it's main Hollywood films still huge, but everything else, you know, streaming and everything is killing it. Is it going to do the same to gaming industry? If everybody goes Xbox and Microsoft, probably not, because that tends to be what their plan is. Like, they're trying to do a big buy and merger of pretty much every platform just to own it. So it depends if you're still hardcore fans of, I'm PlayStation or Microsoft. 'Cause at the end of the day, I think it's all just going to be Microsoft and Xbox. That's the way everything's going to go. PlayStation's going to either fade out or go something like an exclusive home cinema sort of thing, or
Well,
you
and
know what I mean.
and that'll end up being the play. Like Sony still has its powerhouse as God of War. I don't know if
Like,
the new one was
it's
cross-platform.
great. It's great because the price is good. It brings people together, all that sort of thing. That's what it's great for. I love that aspect of it. In
So,
general,
what?
Yeah, that's interesting because you were saying like how like you think Xbox is just going to like take over.
Yeah, I reckon that
Um,
eventually
uh,
they're going to take over. It's just the way I feel like they're gearing up.
yeah. So
Like with all
the
the
on
different
this.
studios and stuff they're purchasing,
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
it's a lot
You
of games like the film industry's done, and look at who's dominating that right now. And there's this
yeah,
Netflix there, like, hello, don't forget about me. I'm owning this. Just a reminder.
I can see that. I could
Hmm.
see a world where on the what are we, the Western Hemisphere?
Yep.
On the Western Hemisphere,
Hmm.
it's Microsoft,
Hmm.
right? But still on the Eastern Hemisphere, I could see
Yeah, Sony and
PlayStation
Nintendo
still,
still.
yeah, Sony and
Yeah,
Nintendo
yeah.
because a lot of the
Asia,
Asian
Asia,
market,
yeah,
right?
1000%. Asia, that's
So,
where Nintendo and Sony
mhm.
is still
So
survive.
until Microsoft could figure out a way to break into that market, there
Yeah.
will still be a divide. But I can see
Hmm.
your point and see a
Yeah.
world where people on this side, and it'll be a luxury to own a
Well,
Nintendo
yeah,
or a PlayStation.
and it's partly like laziness as well. You know what I mean? Because it's like, look at it nowadays. Yeah, with
Hmm.
Xbox, you can get it on your phone. You can
So,
stream off your phone,
Anywhere, dude.
on
Me,
your
me,
PCs, on
you,
your
yeah.
laptops, on your tablets. It's
Hmm.
everywhere. It's
We're
It'd be
all
like Ready Player
Xboxes,
One
dude.
all in one place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of
You,
surreal,
So
but yeah.
let me throw this in there because we started the episode talking about Xbox entering the console war. Would
Mm.
you agree that Xbox has evolved beyond the point of even being a console company anymore and just a true
What?
gaming company?
It's like I don't see the point of bringing out next new gen consoles. Really, no,
Do
that's
you think
kind
the
of where
PlayStation
I'm coming
5 and
from.
the Switch 2 are the last we're going to see of
No, like, I mean,
no,
no.
but from Xbox, no need.
there's not no.
Xbox's yeah, Xbox's
Yeah,
next console they already said is going to be a PC console
yeah,
hybrid.
yeah.
And that's what you need.
That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to make it like the standardized thing, so everybody has a PC, but also console kind of thing. You know,
Yeah.
rather than not have the stupid $4.5 grand price tag of your PC. You know, if you want to be
Mm-hmm.
serious.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. It's going to be expensive. I think they said it's around the people are speculating
wouldn't surprise me.
1300
Yeah,
range,
but
That
that's
something
for
would
a
like
good
surprise
that.
me
gaming
as well,
PC.
maybe.
You'd spend that anyways, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
But yeah, but all right, boys. I just want to end it on one note because the one thing that gives me big rage is Xbox marketing team. As a Canadian who literally has a friend that works for Xbox, why can't I use
Yep.
the promo codes? I don't know if that's the same
I
for
know
you,
it drives
Noble.
me mad over here, man.
Okay, listen, the United States is not the only gamers here. So why don't we
No,
all get
no, no.
together?
I always
Go
hit him
give
up. I'm
Tony a
like,
call.
man,
His name is Tony.
yeah, yeah.
You tell him that Corgi can use his promo codes. But anyways,
Yeah.
in my opinion, as far as the gaming console war goes, I think that Xbox has evolved past even having the competition. They don't even use guns no more. They got lasers on sharks. That's it. It's not even the same sport anymore. So with that being said, I really want to thank Joey Shadows for coming in. We have the voice and spirit of Noble Studios guiding us through this episode. We will start breaking down each generation with the games, so on and so forth, music, composers. We are going to get as much information as we can out of Joey Shadow's skull so that both him and I can avoid therapy. So, that being said, thank you guys for coming in. This has been another episode of Short Legs, Big Rage. Find us on YouTube. New episodes posted every Friday.